Welcome back to the Shy City Boys podcast. We are here right after the Bulls won game 2 of the first round of the playoffs. I'm Carl Liza. That's Jack Field. Jack, you were at a watch party at
I
Reese's in
was. I
Chicago.
was.
How'd that go?
Wow. I mean, you know, going into this, we talked about how the Bulls are really unlikely to win this series and
Yeah,
how if they could steal one from Milwaukee, how this changes everything.
it's
And we'll
new
go into it.
season.
We'll go into it more, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: the Bulls, they can hang with the Bucks. And
Mhm.
my good friend Drew Testa and I were talking about this tonight. We were saying how, wow, if they were right there for game one, too. And
Mhm.
I mean, wow, what a night for Bulls fans. The watch party that was awesome. That watch party, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the guys from the Bulls Nation. They had the Bucket Boys. They had the Level Bulls. I got a T-shirt right here.
No, don't show it. We're not sponsored by
I know, but who cares? I got a T-shirt.
them. Okay.
But I'll tell you this for any Bulls fans that are listening, if you want to go to a Bulls watch party in Chicago, go to Recess. It's on Kisney Street. Amazing vibe. And
When I was listening to it on the radio, they did shout out Reese's
yeah,
about having a watch party.
that's where I was.
Yeah.
Amazing. Credit to the big three for the Bulls. Obviously, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but yeah, what a night for Bulls fans. The series has turned around completely, like a 180. It's brand new. They're coming to Chi-Town on Friday and Sunday,
Mhm.
and you never know. Bulls might win one of those, and then they get another home game. Like,
As you never know, let's talk about the stats for this game. Let's start with the Bulls, of course. I'm going to go over the starting lineup: point guard to center. Okay. So at point guard, we had Alex Caruso. He had
amazing,
9 points, 10 assists.
amazing defense. Oh my goodness.
We needed him
I'll
when
say
he was
this.
gone.
I'll say this straight up. I know we're missing out, or I know we're missing Lonzo Ball, and that's huge, obviously. Don't get me wrong. But oh my goodness, I feel like Laker fans are crying right now
Oh, they should be.
because of how
We
I
can we can talk about Caruso in a little
I
bit.
mean the thing about
Let me just
Caruso
continue.
is you mentioned his defense.
Yeah,
He also hit three threes.
he did.
Like,
He went 3 for 7.
I mean, wow. I mean, wait, he is so underrated, and
Yeah.
I love
So
him.
let's continue. We have Zach LaVine, our shooting guard. He had 20 points, 3 assists, shot 7 for 13. Better than the game one. Better than
Better
game
than
one.
game one, but he can obviously improve.
Yeah, and he played 43 minutes of the 48.
Yeah.
So let's go on to small forward. We have player of the game, DeMar DeRozan, 41,
Fourth quarter
four
king.
4 assists, 3 or 7 rebounds. He went 10 for 18, or no, 16 for 31. Shot a lot better than game one. He uh he might have got rid of the Frozen nickname with this game, but we have to wait and see. Unfortunately, he did shoot 0 for 2 at the 3-point line, but he got all the points he needed. Got all the points he needed.
He's not a 3-point shooter. Come on now.
Exactly. Uh, we'll go in on DeMar a little later. We got P. Will at power forward. He had 10 points, 3 assists, 9 rebounds. And then the man in the middle, Nikola Vucevic,
He stepped up. He has really stepped
had a
up.
really good game. 24 points, 2 assists, 13 rebounds. Let me just say this: 4 for 8 from the 3-point line. That's big for us.
They're leaving him
And
wide open. He's hitting those shots. I mean, that's why we traded for him.
and here's the only downside of this game. There is downsides. Our bench only scored 10 points.
Yeah, and if I can comment on that real quick,
Go ahead.
the thing is that our bench is very thin in scoring now because it's really, I mean, it's really only Kobe White. And I think the thing with the playoffs is you have to play your starters as much as you can with keeping them fresh. And I think, like you said, Levine played 43. DeRozan played 44. This is what the playoffs are about. And the whole team knows that. So I do credit for the bench stepping up, though. There were a couple plays where Javonte Green did step up. Derrick Jones did a nice three in the corner. Kobe White also hit a three. But, you do want more bench scoring, but also you got to realize this is how the playoffs are. This is why I think of LeBron James, and I watched LeBron play in person once. He wasn't putting 100% effort in, but this is why he doesn't put 100% effort into the regular season, because when it comes to the playoffs, he's got to play 45 minutes almost. So
exactly,
I think I'm not saying bench doesn't matter because the Bulls do have a deep team, but on the other hand, this is where the starters come out and shine. And I think, and not even just the Bulls, I think both teams really, it was really a starters game, not really a bench game for both teams.
As you were saying about minutes, Patrick Williams had the lowest amount of minutes for the starters at 32.
Yeah. And that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he just was named a starter for the first time since October in game 1 of the playoffs. And he played good today.
He of course he could play better, but he did enough for us to win.
I think the thing that P. Will needs to realize is that he needs to realize he's good. And he doesn't realize how good he is yet because he's hesitant on his shooting. And he was 5-9, and that was a good night for him. Don't get me wrong. But you look back to that Timberwolves game against the Bulls. He was the best player on the court, obviously, or for the Bulls, I should say. Put up 38 points or something like that. Like, he needs to have that confidence, but obviously it's hard to when you're the 4th best player out there or 5th even. So I like what I saw from him. It was an upgrade from game 1, obviously. He was more aggressive. The jump shot looked nice. He played very well defense on Giannis. I know Giannis still had a nice game. Don't get me wrong.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, but he's upgrading. And I think even though the Bulls want to win the finals, obviously, one of the biggest things is giving him playoff experience. And I think obviously missing the whole year really did hurt his experience in a general whole. But I think what we're seeing is from P. Will is that I don't know if you heard this quote. He said, Giannis and I, we put our pants on the same time. We put it on the same way. He's good, but he's not God. And that's what I like to see from P. Will. That's not talking trash. That's the truth. Like, a basketball court's the same length of every other basketball court. The rim is the same height. The three-point line is the same length. For P. Will to realize, look, Giannis is great. Don't get me wrong. But we put on our shorts the same way. We put on our jerseys the same way. He's not God, and he isn't God. But, for people to notice that, and I feel like we saw it tonight, he's gaining more and more confidence as he faces not just NBA talent, but the Bucks. And I thought that was a really strong quote from him because that, like I said, that's not talking trash. That's just realizing you can hang with the big boys.
So you were talking about the Bucks. Let's go over their stat lines. Just like the Bulls, they played their starters most of the game. I'm just going to go most points to lowest. Giannis, 33 points, 11 for 20 from the field. He got to the line a lot, I heard.
So. I want to say this straight up. Yeah, you mentioned straight up, he got to the line a lot. And I tweeted this, and you liked it, Carl, actually. That
I
did. I'm not trying to complain. The foul's a foul, don't get me wrong. But it seems like every time he drives in, a foul is called. And look, I get it. He's hard to defend, and you are going to try to foul him. But look, I know we're Chicago-based and everything, and we can be biased. But come on now. Every time he drives in, you're going to call a foul. Like I said, I get it. We're going to think that's not a foul because we're Chicago fans. I got a Bulls jersey, a Bulls hat, and everything. But, every time
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And he didn't shoot on a free throw line.
It's not going to stop. There's no rule change that they could do.
What I will say from the Bulls is they have centered on Giannis. They said, beat us with another guy named Giannis. And game one obviously went the Bucks' way, but I mean, you didn't go with the stats. Obviously, Giannis's partners, the big three, who was Middleton and Holiday, didn't really help him that much on the offensive side.
Yeah. So as you were talking about Middleton, he had 18 points in 33 minutes, but he also contributed with 8 assists and 5 rebounds. But it did come out he has an MCL strain, and he's going to get
Bobby Portis or Middleton?
No, Middleton.
Really?
He has an MCL strain.
No way.
So he's going to be reevaluated before the next game.
You're kidding, right?
I'm not. I was going to get to the Bobby Portis injury in a little bit, but we can talk about it right. We can talk about it right now. We can talk about it right now.
He went out with it. Wait, you're right. Wow, Malika Andrews, a host of NBA Today. Wow, that is.
Yeah, that's big. But let's talk about the other injury. Bobby Portis went out with an eye abrasion in the first quarter. Obviously, he's a big energy guy for him, so they missed him out there today. But you got, just like the Bulls,
you have to play the game. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. So let's continue with the starters and their points.
Look at just one thing I want to say is
go on.
The Bulls can say, "Oh, we don't have Lonzo Ball," but here they are playing. Like you can say, "So and so's hurt and so so's hurt."
Yeah.
The Bulls starting point guard, who was shooting 40% from the 3-point line, an elite 6'6" defender, is out.
Yeah.
Come on.
So right now let's just say Middleton plays, but you also got to prepare for him not playing. But you can't sag off like he's not playing.
Well, I think
you have to continue that.
I think the biggest thing is just Giannis, really. I mean, if you can hold Giannis under 35, you should feel pretty good because.
But you can't forget about Middleton. He's a two-time All-Star.
No. I'm not saying you can't, but in a general, but like.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
Because Middleton, Middleton's a great player, and I thought he really carried the Bucks to the championship last year. But he's not a guy that puts up 25 plus a game. And
he put up 5 for 7 from 3 today. So.
He went off. He went off in that fourth quarter or third quarter. But Jrue Holiday is not a scorer. That's the thing about the Bucks, and I think that's what Billy Donovan realizes is that, bro, without a Giannis, who's scoring for them? I mean, like I said, Chris Middleton, and like I said,
let me stop you right there. The second leading scorer on this team tonight was Brook Lopez at 25 points.
This guy looked like Steph Curry out there. No, he was nailing down threes like it was.
He shot 3 for 6, 9 for 16 in total. And he had 1 assist and 6 rebounds.
And I think this is going to make Vukovic. And here's the thing. I mean, Carl, we talked about it a little bit in our previous shows. Is the Bulls struggle with that pick and roll a little bit, or the pick and pop. And I think now we're gonna see more attention on Lopez than usual because this is not the first time Lopez has went off against us. In the last game against us in the regular season, Lopez went off. He was a leading scorer, I think, for the Bucks. And
I think so, yeah.
And I think they're gonna pay more attention to him, but I mean, look, I'm not trying to hate on Brook Lopez, but he's not like that good. You know what I'm saying? Like, for him to have that 25 points a game, like 25.
He's not having that back-to-back.
That's what I'm saying. And like,
he's not having a back-to-back.
For the Bulls have seen that they have somewhat figured out a Giannis plan. And like I said, like we said, Carl, Brook Lopez is not putting up 25 every game. Like he is not shooting 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. I mean, some of the shots he took are really bad, and he made some of them, and I give him credit. I mean, if you're open, you're open. Like, shoot it. Like you said, Vooch was 4 for 8, but like, I mean, we've seen Vooch already put up 20 plus against his team. For Lopez, it's going to be tougher in the follow there. And even though that the Bucks shot really good tonight, and we'll go on that more, but like, it's something that you got to look at the Bulls defense. You're like, wow, like Brook Lopez was really the second leading scorer. So I give credit to Billy Donovan, but we'll talk about that more. Carl, go on.
Yeah. So let's continue with the starting lineups for the Milwaukee. Drew Holiday had 15 points with 6 assists, 6 rebounds. He shot 6 for 16 on the field, 2 for 5 from the 3-point line. And honestly, if I'm Chicago, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think Drew Holiday is like a 3-and-D guy, maybe.
Yeah,
He's 6'7", like, or 6'6", and I mean
he's an all-star too. You can't take him lightly. But
that's
if
also
he's gonna have that kind of game, I'm okay with that.
and that's where you miss Lonzo Ball. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
but
like
we
you said,
just
Carl,
gotta move on.
yeah, like you said,
So
you're fine with that.
last person here, Wesley Matthews, 11 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds in 34 minutes. Like you can't on the Bull side, you can't get any better than that.
Well, I'll say this: watching the game, Wesley Matthews was open every shot. I mean,
He was 3 for 6 from 3.
They just did not care about him at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's what tells you about depth. Like, look, no hate to Wesley Matthews. I think he's a great player. But for him to play, like you said, 34 minutes, and for us, we have, Pat Williams playing the same minutes as him. Like, that tells you about the depth of this team. And I think that like I said, not trying to hate on Wesley Matthews at all, but like, who would you take, Carl? Come on, like P. Will or Wesley Matthews?
Oh, P. Will for
That's
sure.
what I'm saying. Like, and we're missing Lonzo Ball still. Like,
yeah.
And I know I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, like at all, but like that just
So,
shows how deep this team is.
Let's talk about the bench play here. They had, like how I said, we only had 10 points.
Yeah.
They only had 8.
Yeah.
So I know.
Well, I think also you got to point out that Bobby Portis did go out.
Bobby Portis, he only played 6 minutes.
Yeah, he comes off the bench and he puts up like 14, 15 points. So that's something we got to recognize.
That was a big blow.
But that's something the Bulls took advantage of. And
exactly,
I'm not trying to say like that's what you got to do, but that's what you got to do if in the playoffs. Like,
just like Chris Middleton might not play next game.
You got to, like the Pelicans and the Suns we'll talk about in a little bit. Yeah. Like, you got to take advantage of that. Like, that's just
absolutely.
That's how it is.
Absolutely. So, Jack, give me one big takeaway from this game. Just one.
I think energy.
Yeah.
I think what we saw in this past month from the Bulls is that they're getting blown out from playoff teams. I know it's hideous, but I think game 1 really told the Bulls a message. And that message is, hey, and I mean, not even just that one game, but they realized that we're one of the best teams in the East. Like, we were in first place at the All-Star break. And we literally had one of the worst shooting nights out of our big 3 this year. And we were in that game. Like,
only lost by what, 3?
I think it was 8. But it was some late free.
At one point, down by 3. Yeah.
They were winning by 5 in the third quarter of the game. Yeah. And I think you go to tonight. The Bulls had many opportunities to blow that game. And I look in the third quarter when they were only up by 4. It was that Chris Middleton 4-point play. It was actually a third down they're up by 3 only. I remember that. Everyone was like gasping, like, wow, this is really about to happen. But they stuck to it. And look, DeMar said it. He was like, I can't accept the way I play. And Caruso, I can't even explain how big he was tonight. Like, I think the Bulls realized that this is the game they needed. We talked about getting hot. And I know it's one game, Carl, but going to Milwaukee and winning. We talked about this in previous episodes with the podcast. We said, look, the Bulls might not win, and they're obviously still very underdog in this matchup. But if they can go to Milwaukee and win a game and go to Chicago 1-1, like, this is huge for them. Both games on the weekend means this is the loudest the place has probably been since Derrick Rose prime days. Like,
since that game winner against Cleveland.
yeah, honestly, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not underestimating Giannis and the Bucks. They're defending champs. Like, don't get me wrong. But I think the Bulls realize that they have the Bucks figured out some way, somehow.
Yeah.
And one thing I really like what I saw from the Bulls is when Giannis got the ball on the baseline, they double teamed him. They
Mhm.
made him pass the ball. When Giannis
Yeah.
had the ball above the free throw line, he did his little thing. That's cool. 2 points is 2 points. But when Giannis was on the baseline, you saw two guys on him, which made him pass it right away.
Yeah.
And I think another big thing is shooting. Last game, their shooting was atrocious. I mean, it was ugly. It was ugly. And
Yeah.
you know, I mean, Carl, we've talked on previous podcasts how the Bulls should sign like a 3-point shooter. But look, we've been hard on Vucevic all season long.
We have, yeah.
He stepped up. 4 of 8.
He's shown us why he should be a Bull for life.
Even last game when he only shot 1 of 10, he was big for us.
Yeah.
Tonight, 4 of 8. Levine, 3 of 4. Caruso, 3 of 7. Derrick Jones even had a 3. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're going to repeat that, but when you win a game in the playoffs on the road, you gain that momentum.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to build off injuries, but like you said, if Chris Middleton isn't playing, I mean, they are set on Giannis.
Mhm.
If let's say Bobby Portis is out as well. I mean, their best player off the bench is Grayson Allen. So, I mean, this was probably the biggest win in like the last 5 years for the Bulls, because, and I know we're like Bulls homers and everything. Like, we want the Bulls to win the finals, obviously, and we're going to be biased towards the Bulls. But and even TNT even said it after the game, like, the Bulls showed they can play. Like, they can compete with the Bucks, and
Yeah.
I don't think the series is over yet. I really
Oh no, definitely not.
and
But I'm gonna end you there. We're running on
let's say
time.
this, Carl, before you give your take.
One.
Before you give your take. This game on Friday is the biggest game in 8 years, probably.
Probably.
If you can go up against the Bucks 2-1, a home game on Sunday afternoon, I mean, it's gonna go
big.
nuts.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I'm gonna say is this is the first win that the Bulls had against Milwaukee this year.
And
so I don't
the
see
last 19 games.
I don't see why we can't just build off this.
Well, Carl,
we gotta move on. We gotta move on for right now. We gotta move on.
I do have a question for you though, Carl.
Oh, what's up?
So obviously, I'm not trying to hate on Levine, but we know he can play a lot better.
Okay.
Is game 3 when we see it? Like, when are we going to see Levine just have that demon mode on him? Because
it's going to be one of the at least the next 3 games.
You think it's one of those games. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. I want to say this. I think DeMar found his groove again. And do you think this is a DeMar? Because he put up, 38, 39 tonight, right? Something like that.
41.
41, my apologies. Is this the series where DeMar DeRozan takes over, in my opinion? Because he showed tonight, like, hey, I'm here. Like, that game was a fluke. Like, I'm here to stay.
Well, I need to see at least one more game out of him like this.
Yeah.
Because we know his playoff experience before, the narrative, the Frozen.
I was gonna say.
I said it earlier, like, oh, this might have taken the nickname away. Obviously not. This is one game.
Yeah.
If he plays game 3 like this, the Frozen's gone. Even if we lose next game and he goes off for this, and then we lose the next game and he has a shitty game, I still think that the Frozen narratives are over.
Well, they did show a graphic on NBC Sports Chicago. Like, I think in the last time he played in the playoffs with the Spurs, he had like 15 points in game 1, but he had like 31 in game 2.
Yeah.
But I will say this before we go to our next subject is at least they did not get swept. That's a big
That's true.
part.
That's true.
I think, when we went in this playoffs, the Bulls were literally looking like one of the worst teams in the NBA, not just the
Yeah.
playoff field, but the NBA.
Yeah.
And I know
So
we know
let me.
Milwaukee can go off for 2 straight wins. We know that, Carl. But
Yeah.
for them not to get swept, that's a big part in.
Absolutely.
I think out of
Yeah.
all the playoff teams, the Bulls have the probably top 3 most momentum, along with the Pelicans, and I don't even know. Probably, I don't know. I would say the Nets, but they did go down 2-0, but they have a lot. They have so much momentum now.
So right before we move on, I'll say this: their next 2 games is Friday at 7:30, and then Sunday at noon.
I will say this: the playoff scheduling is terrible.
The playoff schedule is terrible, but we have to move on. We have to move on. Shut the fuck
9
up.
o'clock tonight, Carl. Like, no,
Shut the fuck up.
Carl, relax. The game didn't start till 9 o'clock tonight. Like, I get it. Like, who was playing early? The Sixers and Raptors and Celtics and Nets. But come on, the Bucks and Bulls at that late, you got to switch that up or something.
Okay, so I'm just quickly going to go over the other matchups that happened since Monday. You're not going to say a word. I'm talking. So the Mavericks won 110-104. They evened the series at 1. The Warriors took a 2-0 lead against Denver, winning 126-106. That was on Monday. And then, Miami went out 2-0, 115-105 against the Hawks. Grizzlies tied up the series 124-96 against Minnesota. And then 8 seed New Orleans tied the series up against the Suns 125-114.
And Devin Booker is supposed to be out the next 2 games.
He's going to be out the next 2 games, which is going to be in New Orleans.
But wait, I have a question for you, Carl, actually.
What's up?
Was Zion ruled out for the rest of the year, or does he still have a chance to come back?
He, just like Ben Simmons, he has a chance to come back.
Wow. Imagine if they win that series and Zion. I mean, we've talked about it. Like, if with Zion, they're a top 4 team in the West, probably.
Absolutely.
Just imagine that.
Yeah. So, 2 stellar games again today with the Celtics taking a 2-0 lead on Brooklyn, 114-107. But that doesn't really mean anything. Kevin Durant, Kyrie could go off the next 2 games, tie the series back up.
We said it like Kevin Durant's that guy, but he hasn't showed it. But you know who has showed it? Jason Tatum. He is that guy. He has showed that he is the guy, and Kevin Durant has. And I know I said the Nets were going to win that series, and Ben Simmons looks like he's coming back, but
he could come back game 3.
Or I know game 3 they said there's a chance, but game 4 realistically. But Jason Tatum has showed like he's that guy.
And the last game before the Bulls game, it was the 76ers against the Raptors that went into overtime, and Joel Embiid hits a game-winning 3 at the buzzer to win it in overtime.
Ridiculous.
The series is now 3-0, and I don't see Toronto coming out with a win.
No, I think it's so deflating as a team to lose a home playoff game on a buzzer beater. Well,
and Drake left with Embiid.
This is a full circle. Remember this, because Kawhi Leonard hit a game-winning shot against the 76ers in the playoffs in Toronto. And now, who was on that team? Who was on that team?
Embiid.
And now Embiid goes to Toronto and hits a game-winning shot on that, which is probably the dagger of the series. And now, like, that's just a full circle. But I think also losing Scotty Barnes is huge. And I think we predicted this was going to be a sweep. I think that the Raptors are a physical and tough team, but I mean, you got Harden and on the other side. Like, it's hard. And Joel Embiid, he is mixy, man. I don't get it. Like, I mean, Carl, when we went to that game against the Bulls, we even said it ourselves, like, this guy's insane. And for him to do that, not even just the buzzer beater, but the way he's been playing this year is just, I mean, that's what leads you to the finals.
Yeah. So let's move on from basketball to baseball, just really quick. Let's talk about the Sox, how they do this week. Let's just a little quick thing this week.
Well, today, well, I guess I'll say March or April 9th or April 20th for the White Sox was really rough. I mean, they had a doubleheader. They lost both games against the Guardians.
Ooh.
Dallas Keuchel, wow, gave up 9 runs in the second inning. They didn't play that bad in game two. It's just their lineup literally rested every good player on their team besides Yasmani Grandal. But last time we talked, they were able to win the series against the Mariners and Rays. Bill and Cecil Michael Kopech look amazing. They'll have a chance to rebound off their performances. Bill and Cecil pitch in the series finale against the Guardians, and then Kopech will start in the series starter against the Twins. They'll play this weekend. For the White Sox, they have one of the best records in the AL. TA has been on a hot start. The offense has been a little slow lately. Luis Robert is struggling, but for the White Sox, it's getting back those players. Giolito, coming back from his injury, is slated to start on Sunday. You can expect Yohan Moncada in the next 2 weeks. Lance Lynn has been above the timetable he's supposed to return, so that's good as well. So, I mean, I'm not trying to blame the injuries, but the White Sox are kind of just holding on. It's going to be an interesting week because they play a lot of AL Central teams in the next couple of weeks, which can really create some ground for them to be in first place. So, a couple games for them, big games. We hope to see Luis Robert kind of pick it up, as well as Jose Abreu, even though he sucks in the months of April and May. But Guardians and Twins, teams they should beat. Obviously, today was a rough game or a rough day for them. But I mean, it's the White Sox. They'll pick it up. And yeah, that's about it for really the White Sox. Nothing big or new. I guess the one biggest thing will be Johnny Cueto is slated to start in the AAA game next week, which will lead to his debut for the White Sox. So I think that's probably the most interesting thing for the White Sox right now. No update on AJ Pollock. His wife just had a kid. So congrats to him. But he also left the first game with a hamstring injury. So no tape time on him. But for the White Sox, it's really just finding ways to win games until, those guys come back. That's about it. Carl, you got the Cubs, obviously.
Okay, so the last time we talked, they had a game against the Pirates. They lost that game, and then they go on to have a 4-game series against Colorado, which they split 2-2. And then we had a homestand against Tampa Bay. We actually went to the game on Tuesday, Jack.
It was DePaul night. All blue team.
It was DePaul night. It was a good game, and the Cubs almost had a comeback, but fell short. Lost 3 games straight to the Tampa Bay Rays. But we're looking up. We have another homestand against the Pirates, 4-game homestand. The Cubs actually made a trade today.
They did
with the Atlanta Braves. They sent Jesse Chavez and cash consideration to Atlanta for Sean Newcomb.
He pitched yesterday, Jesse Chavez.
He did, and he's not good.
Is Sean Newcomb good? I don't know much about him.
I heard he could be good.
Is he a starter or a relief pitcher?
He's a reliever. A reliever. But that's not a big splash, but it's still a move. So yeah.
I do have a question for you, Carl, whenever you're done.
Let me just talk about this. Sayas extended his on base game in a row. I don't know what to call it. To 12 games. He's been the best player on the Cubs so far, and I will continue to believe that is true. Jack, what's your question?
I actually have 2 questions now that you brought it up. Well, I also found out the Cubs game only lasted 6 innings due to weather.
Yeah, because of weather. Yeah.
But here's
we lost. Yeah.
Here's my first question. They did lose, but here's my first question.
Okay.
In an interview last night, Wilson Contreras said Seiya Suzuki was the best player he's played with. I just want to get your thoughts on that because obviously he's played with guys like Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo. I know you like Javier Baez, even Nicholas Castellanos. Kind of want to get your thoughts on that one.
I think that's just a current position he has. I don't think it's true. I think MVP season Chris Bryant is better than Sayas right now.
I was gonna say.
I think Rizzo any year he was on the Cubs is better than Sayas right now. But of course, we're only 12 games into the season. Sayas could still put up an MVP season. I still think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. You never know, Jack. You never
Okay,
know.
I don't know about MVP, but
It could happen. It could happen. But
definitely
I'm just saying. Don't take that comment as a grain of salt. I think it's just recency bias. But that's my opinion. What's your other question?
All right, here's my other question is that, look, I'm not trying to trash the Cubs or anything, but for Cubs fans going into this season, Marcus Stroman was a big signing for you guys. And this is the second straight start where he has really struggled. He gave up 7 earned, 8 runs total tonight. In his game against Colorado, he only lasted 4 innings and gave up 5 runs. Like, I know it's early. I'm not trying to trash it.
I think it's okay. I think it's just the nerves. This was his it was his second game in Wrigley. I think he just needs to settle in still. I'm not worried about him at all. We got 2 more years of him after this.
Okay, 2 more.
Yeah, he signed a 3-year, $70 million contract. But
I was just intrigued because I know you talked about that.
yeah, it's okay. It's against Tampa, one of the best teams in the AL. So I'm not really worried about it. Just need to see him do better in the upcoming starts. But I'm not worried at all.
And then I have actually another question for you.
Okay, go on. I'll answer questions.
So I see the tweets you like, obviously, because we follow each other on Twitter.
Speaking of that, go follow Shy City Boys on Twitter at Shy City Boys with 2 S's in boys.
So my question is this the direction you want the Cubs go into? Like, they're 6-6 right now. We've talked about how, hey, like, they're 5 games out of first. What do you want to do? But, kind of where do you see their direction of going? Do you think this is a team that, like, hey, we can compete? Like, let's trade or sign a player or trade a player.
No.
Or do you think no matter what,
I'm going to stop you right there.
No matter what, they're going to go for a top 10 pick in that draft?
I'm going to tell you this. The only person I see them trading this year is Jason Hayward.
Not Wilson?
Okay, my bad. I can see him trading Wilson, and I can see him trading Jason Hayward. If you notice this move in that Tuesday game, they switched out Patrick Williams for Jason Hayward, and Patrick Williams doesn't play the outfield.
And Wisdom hit a home run. Literally.
And he hit a home run in that pinch hit. But you got to remember, Brendan Davis is still coming up this year. Our number 1 prospect. He's a center fielder. So, do you see Hayward getting optioned to AAA? I don't see it. Well, I can see him getting designated for assignment, but that's a lot of money.
That's what I was gonna say, Carl. Like, you mentioned he might get traded, but like,
he's taking on that money.
I mean, you have to be so drunk to take him on that contract.
Would you do this? This other team I'm gonna mention for a trade is also trying to get off a bad contract. So it'd be kind of trading bad contract for bad contract.
Yeah, let's hear it.
San Diego for Eric Hosmer.
Okay.
Straight up. Maybe a player or 2 on each side, but basically straight up Hosmer for Hayward. Would you do that for either side?
But here's the thing for the Padres is they don't need an outfielder. They have Jerkison Provar, who's going off. They have Trent Grisham, Will Myers. I mean, you can put Will Myers at first base if you really wanted to. But both left-handed hitters, both big contracts that they don't deserve at the moment.
But they did deserve at one time. I'll admit that.
I don't know about Jay. I think Hosmer, because he was coming off a World Series championship.
He was coming off a Gold Glove or a All-Star season with the Cardinals.
Hayward?
Yeah.
I don't know. I never saw the value. I mean, obviously, you guys won the World Series after you signed him, but I never saw the value. I see what you're saying. Like, that is very interesting because 2 terrible. I've always said that Wilson Contreras would go to the Padres, but yeah, that's an interesting one. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think the Padres will do it just because the thing about the Padres,
they don't really need a left-handy outfielder.
their team is playing really good right now,
Yeah.
and they don't even have Tatis. And that's my other point is that I think they're going to want to wait to make a move until Tatis comes back because looking at their lineup right now, I mean, you have Hosmer at first, Gresham in center, Profar on left, Myers in right, but their center is Jose Alfaro, or no, not their center, the catcher. My apologies. So I think if there was a trade to be made between the Cubs and the Padres, I'm really set on this. It's Wilson Contreras. Like, I don't know why I'm really set on it, but I really do think if someone gets dealt to the Padres from the Cubs, it is Wilson Contreras. But I do see what you're saying about trading terrible for terrible contract, and that's something we don't really see much today. But
Yeah.
that'd been interesting.
So let's move on. Are we ready to do what we did the other day?
Not yet. We're
No.
gonna give another go at it.
You didn't like what we did?
Another go at it. It wasn't the greatest. We want to give you guys the best product and the best stuff as usual. That's what we do at Tri-City Boys. So G in the Streets premiere at a later date. We're gonna get that up for you guys, of course, as soon as possible. We had some technical difficulties, obviously, and recording right now at 12:37 on Thursday.
Yeah.
Basically Thursday.
So
not enough time for us. We want to get you guys possibly maybe next week's show. But with that being said, we're going to talk about football, Carl, for the first time.
Yeah, it's not going to be a lot.
No, but
it's not going to be a lot.
An interesting speculation, Carl. Go on.
Okay, so it was reported earlier today by someone that Deebo Samuel wants out of San Francisco. There's a lot. There's a lot of speculations on who would most likely make a trade, but obviously we are Chicago Bears fans, so we're both going to come up with a deal that would satisfy both parties. Obviously, I'm going to go first because Jackson joined a cookie, but we're in a group chat with some other Bears fans, and I gave out the trade option of after saying it and thinking it over and seeing what the other guy said, it's a bad take. But I went out at first. I said our 2 seconds this year and a third rounder for next year. Obviously, that's a lot for a guy who's only had one productive season. But I'm going to change that up a little bit. I'm going to keep the second rounder pick 39, and I'm going to add a fifth rounder for next year, which is still kind of like a top 100, 120 pick, straight up for Deebo Samuel, because obviously we're going to have to pay him, and he's probably going to want 25 a year. Personally, I no matter what, it's going to be a sign and trade. Wherever he gets traded, he's signing a new contract right then and right now. But I would trade for Deebo. Don't sign him to another contract. See how he plays out this year, and then give him the contract. But obviously, that's not going to happen. So I would give up a second rounder and a fifth rounder for next year. Jack, are you ready, or do you want me to keep talking?
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
I don't think the Bears should get Deebo Samuel.
Really?
The reason I say that is because the Bears should be in a full rebuild right now.
Even if we use a second round pick that we were going to use for a wide receiver?
Here's my thing is that look, I'm not trying to hate on Deebo Samuel at all. I think he's a great player. But what worries me is that he wants to be a running back more than a wide receiver.
Wait, really?
What's it called? He's going to want a big contract, obviously, with the contracts of Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. But I don't see it being a necessary tool. I know it would help Justin Fields by a lot if you had Deebo Samuel on your team, but there's really no point. I mean, let's say this, Carl. You get Deebo Samuel. How long are you going to get him for? 3 years, right?
I'd say 4.
Okay, let's say 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the Bears would really be ready in 3 to 4 years to compete at a high level?
Yeah, I say maybe 2.
I mean, it depends how they spend the money, but I just don't think it's smart. I think I would like to see first, if this was next year, I would do it. But I would like to see how Ryan Poles builds for the draft. You know, like I said, if this was next year, I'd probably do it. But I do see the positives of having him. Don't get me wrong. Like I think Deebo Samuel's an amazing receiver, and Darnell and I said this previously. Darnell Mooney is not ready to be a number one receiver yet, but you got to think about what the state of this team. And I don't know if this comparison was going to go well, but I remember the Bulls a couple of years ago. They're like, we're going to rebuild. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You know what they did, Carl?
What they do?
They signed Rajon Rondo and Dwayne Wade. And they acted like, okay, yeah, they made the playoffs and they lost. But my point is that they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to sign these guys actually, and we're going to try to compete because we got a young, exciting talent like Zach LaVine. And now I think that's the case right now. If that would be the case, like young, exciting talent, Justin Fields. You sign a guy like, or trade a guy like Deebo Samuel. Like, I would love that. I think he'd be great, but I just don't think the Bears are at that position to necessarily get him yet. Like I
I
said,
understand that. Yeah.
if it was next year or in 2 years, hell yeah, I'd give them rights to the freaking stadium if I could. But right now, I just don't think the Bears are in that position to do that. And I think Ryan Poles really wants to draft. And I think that he's going to keep those picks unless he can trade for better picks. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. One last thing about the one last thing about the Bears before we move on to our top 5 segment. It was reported today on Bears Facebook Live that Matt Eberflus, the Bears head coach, said, and I quote, "I think the world of Roquan Smith." And end quote.
Well, I actually have something to point out, Carl, to you.
So,
I don't know if you saw, but there was a question asked to Justin Fields yesterday.
mm-hmm.
And it was, do you think this team prepared you in your first year? And he ducked away from that question the best he could. And I want to get your opinion on that, because in my opinion, they did not prepare him at all. But to hear that question, and he was like, he literally said, I don't know. Like, I mean, that kind of basically says they didn't, but I mean,
you know, my opinion, I think that Matt Nagy went into the offseason after the signing of Andy Dalton, didn't expect the Bears to move up for Justin Fields. So he spent, even after drafting Fields, he prepared Andy Dalton to play the whole season. And guess what? None of the focus was on Justin Fields until Dalton got hurt, which was too late into the season.
And I think he said that, like Justin Fields, something. So he said something on the lines like, it would have helped if I knew I was starting right away. Like I had no idea, because his first start was against Cleveland, and how bad that went.
9 sacks.
Now he he's known since he got drafted, but officially he knows, like, I'm QB1. Like, this is my offense, and I think
I think last year you have to forget.
I don't think you forget, because there were moments where he showed like he's the franchise. You go to that 2 final drives against the Steelers, a couple plays against the 49ers I look at. Even that one against the Bengals, like he stepped in as the backup and he won the game for us. Like, I understand like what you're saying, like there were pretty bad moments for him, and obviously the coaching wasn't there for him. But like, I mean, he really showed us a lot with the team he had around him. And I think that I just thought that was interesting, because we haven't really seen a question like that.
Then. So I just want to say this right before we move on. I listen to a lot of sports podcasts, and they're not really saying it, but they're saying it that Justin Fields is a bust after 1 year, but they're not going into the context that our head coach was not preparing our rookie quarterback to play or be the focus of the offense. They're going off of the assumption that it was his team to start the season. It was his team since the day he got drafted. No, that's not the case. Nagy had no plan to have Justin Fields start a game until Andy Dalton got injured. And that was 4 weeks into the season. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Fields didn't even take a first team rep until Dalton got hurt. So to the other podcasts that I listen to saying Justin Fields is a bust after one season, after a terrible offensive coach, after a terrible head coach, give him another chance. It's 1 year. Are you going to judge every single quarterback on one season? If that was the case, none of the starting quarterbacks from last year would be a starter this year. So that's just a little rant by me.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
saying.
I think in sports, specifically like football and basketball, if we don't see a guy perform, I don't know, like an MVP the first year,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to label him as a bust. I look at Lonzo Ball, for an instance. We're going to talk Chicago. I mean, the hate he got his first year. Now he's a really good player. Is he the second pick? No, not at all. But I mean, he has worked himself to a really good player. And now people are saying Zion is a bust because he hasn't played that much. So, yeah, I really hate how, like, it takes one. For me, I said, give me 2 years, 2 full seasons played to determine if you're a bust. And that's my case. And for Justin Fields, I know we're Bears fans and we want him to do the best, but you got to remember, I mean, there was no support for him, man.
Yeah.
I think
so. Yeah. Let's go off of that rant from us. Let's move on to our top 5 segment. Rolling back to the Bulls, since of their spectacular playoff win, we're gonna go top 5 Bulls of all time. We're gonna go 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. Jack, what's up?
I have an interesting statistic actually about the Bulls I wanted to bring up.
Go on.
So when Giannis was guarding DeMar DeRozan shot 8 of 9 for 16 points when Giannis was the primary defender.
Ooh.
I know we're going to talk about top 5 in like 5 seconds, but interesting to bring up.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind for next game. Jack, who's your number 5 Bull of all time?
Oh man, this is tough. I mean, the thing that sucks about this list, let's change it. Let's do top Bulls since 2000. Because I feel like our list will be the same if it's all time.
Okay, top 5 since
2000. I think that's fair. Because
I got a list already.
If we were to do all time, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and then whoever else you want to pick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Number 5.
Rodman would have been 5 for me.
Okay, number 5 since 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Heinrich.
Ooh, Captain Kirk. I like that pick.
3-point.
I like that pick.
Leader for the Bulls.
Pick.
I remember so many times I hated him, but like at the end of the day, he is a Bulls legend. Like it's Captain Kirk, it's Kirk Heinrich.
He is my honorable mention.
Okay.
Number 5, I'm gonna go with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy G Buck is the G stands for gets. I think his first year was not good because of Tom Thibodeau. He doesn't play rookies their first year. But after that, he blossomed into the player he is today. Of course, he's gotten better over the years in Philly, in Minnesota, now in Miami. I think he's a top 5 Bull of the 2 decades.
Probably, yeah. Number 4, Joakim Noah.
Oh.
I mean, you don't really have to explain it. Joakim Noah, one of the best offensive players during his time with the Bulls. a lot of iconic playoff moments. Really brought the energy. Hate Cleveland, which we love.
Oh, who vacations in Cleveland?
Well, me this summer, but
Oh yeah.
Joakim Noah was really just he was just an amazing player to watch
Yeah.
as a fan growing up.
Yeah. My number 4 is gonna be Luol Deng.
Oh wow.
Luol Deng, number
God.
4. He did everything for the Bulls when he was on the team.
Yeah.
He was one of. This is how good Luol Deng was. Kobe Bryant said he would not waive his no trade clause if Luol Deng was in the trade. He wanted to play with Luol. That's how good he is. If Kobe Bryant wanted to play with you and not be traded, you're a pretty good player.
Yeah, I mean, not wrong. Number 3, and this is controversial, but
Oh no.
man, this is gonna get a kick out of the viewers. Number 3, Ben Gordon. Dude,
Guess what?
Ben
Guess what?
What?
Guess what? He's
Yeah.
my number 3.
Okay, but going off what I was saying, Ben Gordon, man, that guy could light up the 3-point line. His rainbow threes, especially in the playoffs. I know he's like not like that good. Like I know people like don't think about him, but in 2000 in Bulls basketball, like
He was a star.
Ben Gordon was like, oh my gosh, he was so big for us.
He was a star for us.
Yeah, and
but like you said, he's my number 3 also. I'm just gonna back off what you said.
Who's your number 2 then? Since you know,
my number 2 is Joakim Noah.
Okay.
I think when Derrick Rose went down, he put up an MVP type season. Number 3 in the MVP race that year. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He was an All-Star. He was just the heart and soul of the Bulls when he was on the team.
Number 2 for me.
Number 2,
Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine, especially the last 2 years, he's been an all-star, but ever since he's come to Chicago, he's been an elite player. His first year, he only averaged 16 points, but ever since then, after his first year in Chicago, he's been a top scorer in the NBA. He's a 3-level scorer. Without him, we wouldn't be in this position. I really don't think without him, I don't even think DeMar would have come to the Bulls in general. So I think LaVine, number 2 since 2000. He's been so good for the Bulls, and he's improving at defense as we speak.
Yeah.
Gotta give it to him as number 2.
And just to add about that first year with us, he only played for three months. He was out till the second half.
He was coming off an ACL injury as well.
Yeah, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But can you guys guess who our number 1 is?
Yeah,
it's obvious.
It's pretty. Wait, I have a Zach LaVine jersey. I don't know why I didn't say that.
Number 1, I can clearly say this for both of us. Number 1 for both of us, Derrick Rose.
Oh, that's not my number 1.
Wait, what?
I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say you almost had me. I was gonna go with Brad Miller actually, but no, Derrick Rose.
What about
number
Omar,
1?
What about Omar Asik?
Oh, Omar. But number 1, Derrick Rose, 2011 MVP, 2008 Rookie of the Year. He was the reason why the Celtics series in 2008 was the best series of all time. Going to Game 7, Game 3 or 4 went to triple overtime. He's the reason for that. He had a game winner against Cleveland in 2016 in the playoffs in the semifinals. Or not, yeah. He's just he's top 3 Bull of all time.
I don't know about all time top 3.
I say all time.
But I mean, yeah, you hit all the points, like you said, MVP. I think one thing you missed was that We were a number 1 seed with him on our team. I mean,
We were
we were like
50.
62-20, I think, one year. And
62-20.
yeah, I mean, you look at the stats don't justify how good Prime
No,
Derrick
it
was.
doesn't.
I mean,
And people are saying, sorry to cut you off, but people are saying he is undeserving of that MVP, which is complete
No.
blasphemy.
and
Blasphemy.
I think the problem with the MVP is that it always gives it to like the best team player. But
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, when Derrick Rose played for the Bulls in his prime, we were like, this guy's the next Jordan. Not like specifically, but like
Yeah.
in that realm. And I mean, it was just amazing watching him play, and easily was number 1. I mean, I always think about if he stayed in his prime, he'd still be with the Bulls, obviously. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, it just sucks he doesn't have a ring because he deserves one. The way he played when the injuries are always going to hurt him because it just happens. That's happens to some of the best guys in the league. And yeah, but I mean, I think you can ask anyone who is the top Bull since 2000, and unanimously, it's going to be
Yeah.
Derrick Rose. And like I said, unfortunately, injuries got in the way of a lot of his career. But you look at the joy he had watching. I think today they showed like a throwback. He like scored so many points against the Bucks in the first round when he in his prime years. So I mean,
He even had a game winner in the regular season against them.
he did. I remember that they're wearing black jerseys.
One of his signature poses is just him beating his chest after it.
They were wearing black jerseys that night. I remember.
Yep.
That. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious Derrick Rose. I mean, you just imagine where he'd probably be second of all time if he never got hurt. And that's always it's always that, if he didn't get hurt, and if that. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, Carl, it's pretty obvious that Derrick Rose is the number 1 since 2000.
Just wish he didn't play that last 3 minutes of the game.
You
but
comp Thibodeau for that one.
Yeah, but we can only sulk on it so long. Derrick Rose is still an amazing player. Hopefully, he ends his career in Chicago at some point.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But that's it for now with the Derrick Rose. That's also the end for us for this episode. Jack, any final thoughts?
Go Bulls, man. Whether you're at a bar, you're hanging with friends, you're watching it by yourself, you're at a watch party, or even at the game. I know Drew Testa, a good friend of ours, will be at that game actually. Just texted me about it. Be loud, man. This team.
Be loud. Even if you're gonna be like me, listening to it on the radio, be fucking loud. See red
language, but this team, I think, has a wake-up calling, and we'll find out more about the injuries of Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis, obviously. But it's a new series. Bulls need your support. This is this game on Friday night, and I kid you not, is the biggest game in like 7 or 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
Something like that, whatever the case may be. Like, this is huge. Go to the UC, stand outside the UC if you have to, but be heard, root for your Bulls. This is exciting. This is exciting. Like, this is what we all want. The Bulls compete in the playoffs, and they have an opportunity to take down the defending champs. Root for your Bulls. Go Bulls. I know we got other sports in general, like the White Sox and Cubs and Bears, but right now,
it's all about the Bulls.
Focus on the Bulls, man. See red. Wear your red out.
Yeah.
On game day. This is it. Come on. You got to be there for the Bulls. They've been there for us all year long.
Just before we head out, one last shout out to our Twitter, Shy City Boys with 2 S's. You'll see the video up there. So sometimes I'll tweet about the Bulls or any sports or any updates about it. But continue to watch us on YouTube. Hopefully sometime in the future, it'll be on Spotify or Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. We're working on that. But thank you to the loyal followers. Thank you.
I do want to give a shout out to someone actually. So on our last video, we got a comment and a new subscriber. From James Zettner.
Oh, he's my coworker.
Okay. Well, if I'm mispronouncing your last name, I'm sorry. But he said on our last episode, Great podcast, guys. I'm finally all caught up. Can't wait to see the new member. We're gonna have to wait maybe next week, but
It's gonna be a surprise. Don't worry.
But in general, we want to thank you and all our subscribers
Yeah,
for subscribing
thank
to
you.
us, obviously, and also commenting on our videos and taking a chance to listen.
Mhm.
We do this for you guys, and we love to hear your feedback. And like
Yeah.
I said again, we appreciate everyone feedback and thank you.
Thank you. And this may be only episode 14, but we're not stopping here. We're gonna keep
already?
going.
14
already? 14, man.
I know we started this like the first, no, I think it was the second week of January, I believe.
It was 14 weeks ago. So
and now we are in April 420. It is 420 actually right now.
Yeah. So
wait, no,
we're not stopping anytime soon. Not stopping anytime soon.
No.
This could be, we could turn this into week 140, 1400. Week 1400. Imagine that.
All right.
But
let's get the 21st and then we can go.
Yeah. But okay, so that's the end for us. We're the Shy City Boys, Carl Liza, Jack Thiel, and we'll see you next week.